What's up, Spillers? Welcome to your favorite podcast in the world, Tea with Tori. If you are just discovering me, hello, I am Tori, the host of the podcast, and we are back with freaking season 3. And goddamn, has it been a minute. I'm pretty sure my last episode was in 2022, possibly 2023, but I want to say 2022. And my life was completely different. So let's get into a little bit of what I've been up to. First of all, I had a baby. If you follow me on social media, you probably have seen that. I had a beautiful little girl. Her name is Isola, and she is about to turn a year old in like 2 months, which is absolutely insane. Like, time flies when you have a child, and people used to tell me that before, but I never really understood until I had a baby. And that within itself, like, you see, that's the first thing out of my mouth. I've done so much since freaking 2022, and the first thing out of my mouth is that I had a baby, and that's happened in like the past year. So what else? Let's go back. Let's rewind. We were doing wild, crazy things. We were living a fun rock star rolling lifestyle, and I kind of had this moment where I was like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Like, I had a full-blown breakdown. I was coming up on my Saturn return, and I just felt like everything that I was doing in my life was not aligned with like who I truly feel like I am, what I feel like the purpose of my life is. And I just had this idea of like, when I grow up, which I was pretty much grown, I was an adult at that point, but like in the later portion of my life, what do I want to leave behind to my children? What is some type of generational wealth? What is a business that, like, if my kid needs a summer job, that I would want them to work with me and train under me? Like, what is the longevity of my life going to look like? And I looked around at the job I had, at the lifestyle I was living, and it wasn't really conducive for the long term. And that's when I kind of started looking at like, what is something that makes me happy? What are things in my life that I feel like genuinely bring quality to the person that I am, the person that I want to be, and where I want to go with what I'm doing? And for me, before I even had a daughter, I had always wanted a daughter. So a lot of things that I started thinking were in terms of this future daughter that I was going to have. Like, what example did I want to set for her? What business did I want to potentially hand down to her? It was just a whole lot of reflecting on where I am versus where I want to be. And I signed up for this like e-commerce course where you learn how to sell products online. And you would think like, oh, it's probably just this random ass course. Like, it just teaches you about Shopify or something. The first activity that you do in this course is you write down like, it's all these questions about where your life currently is. You fill it all out, like what you're currently doing, and then you have this like dream life sheet where you fill it out. It's almost the same questions, but it's like supposed to be 10 years in the future or however long in the future, or just where you see your dream life becoming. And I looked at these two pieces of paper, and when I tell you, they were so different. The life I was living and the life that I wanted to live were so vastly different. And I was like, how am I going to get from here to here? Because I'm nowhere near this person that I see myself becoming. So I started really thinking about it. And one of the number one things that I always went back to in my life whenever I would feel out of whack, unaligned, just not on my natural path, is I would start doing yoga. Because I just felt like that would always, at the time I didn't understand why. I understand why now. Hindsight is 2020, but it would always be the thing that I would go back to, like a home base. I would start doing yoga. And that's when I was like, okay, well, if that's like my home base, let me start there. So I started going to school and I did my 200 hours of vinyasa yoga training. And I thought it was just going to be, again, much like the e-commerce course, going to teach you about Shopify. Oh, you're going to do your 200 hours. It's going to teach you about how to teach yoga. The whole first part of the course is getting yourself in alignment. And I didn't really understand why until I went through this course. And it's like, how are you going to teach people to get aligned if you're out of alignment? And that had never really dawned on me. How are you going to fill up other people's cup without realizing that yours is empty and how to fill it. How are you going to be this example? How are you going to talk to these people? How are you going to coach and train and lead people without being in a position where you feel like you are at peace with yourself and who you are and what you're doing? And by the time I finished that course, it was so much more than just learning how to teach people yoga. And it completely changed my life. I came out of it, and I, at that time, was doing OnlyFans, and I was a Bang Energy model. And the company's ethos is so unaligned with who I am and what I want to be. And I was like, all right, I'm done with OnlyFans. I'm not doing this anymore. And I'll have this like Bang Energy contract to fall back on, like financially, because that was my whole thing, is like, I spent so much of my life being financially unstable. And that was the first time in my life that I had felt financial freedom. And I was so terrified to release my grip on those two jobs essentially that I was doing, because that fear of being in like financial flux again and like potentially being broke, potentially like all these fears coming up in my head. But at the end of the day, like what you want is on the other side of fear. So I was like, all right, I'm going to let go of OnlyFans because I still have my Bang contract, and I'll just like do that while I'm like doing everything else and like getting myself in alignment. Mind you, freaking a week after I make that decision, I lose my Bang contract. They go bankrupt, this whole thing. I was like, wait, I just went from making X amount of money a month to making zero money a month. That was not something I was prepared for. Hindsight, again, being 2020, it was the absolute best thing that ever happened to me, because if I had not released those things, it's like if you have a pot that's completely full and you're trying to add more things to it, it's just going to overflow. You're going to lose a bunch of stuff anyway. So I needed to empty out my pot to be able to fill it with all these things that I was trying to attract and manifest in my life. And it was really like, I swear to God, every time that you feel like you're down, it's kind of like a boomerang. Like you get pulled back to jet forward. And that was my pullback. Like if you've ever been on one of those slingshot rides in the amusement park, like they have to pull you down to slingshot you up. Like anytime I'm going through a dark phase or a dark period or something where I feel low or like I'm at my rock bottom, I've hit my rock bottom. But like even if I'm like hovering around, like I could see it, but I'm not there, I always feel like that's like the universe is about to shuttle me back up to the top. So I hit what I thought was a rock bottom. I had finished my 200 hours of vinyasa yoga training. I was essentially unemployed. I'm not making any money, and I don't even know what I want to do with my life. Do I want to teach yoga? Do I want to manage people? Do I want to do, like, what do I want to do with my life? And I just remember I was driving in my car and a full moon was coming up. And I was like, all right, I always do a full moon ceremony where I just like manifest and journal and like worship the full moon, as witchy as that sounds. And I posted a story on my Instagram and I was like, hey guys, there's a full moon coming up. It was like a couple weeks before my birthday. This was November of 2022. And I posted, I was like, hey guys, full moon coming up. If there's anyone that wants to just like come over to my house and hang and like have a full moon ceremony, like let me know. I thought maybe like 2 or 3 friends would hit me up and we'll just do some journaling and like maybe watch like a witchy movie or something, light some candles, clean our crystals, sage each other. Like I'm thinking it's going to be like this intimate little tiny group experience. I wind up having 25 women in my living room and like 25 women on Zoom. So we're having a 50-person full moon ceremony just off of me posting something on my story. And anyone that couldn't be there, like couldn't be on the Zoom, they were like, hey, like, this is so great. I love this. Like, are you going to do it next month? So much so that I'm like, yeah, I guess. So it's November of 2022. I was like, what? I don't feel like it's just like people sitting in my living room, like journaling by themselves. Like I kind of want to lead people in these journaling exercises and talk to them a little bit about what's happening with this lunar cycle. And I've always been someone that's like very into horoscopes and astrology, and not just like your sun sign astrology, like your birth chart, tarot, like all these things and all the metaphysical worlds. And I took that as my opportunity to kind of like tell people about this inner world that I had been living my whole life and like finally put it kind of like on the forefront and truly be who I am, not just like to my friends and my family and to myself, but to everyone as like my actual platform. So all these women come over, we're having a whole ceremony. When I tell you it was the most myself I've probably ever felt in my entire life, like I just felt like that serendipitous feeling of like right place, right time, like everything was aligning. And I was like, oh, wow, like I didn't expect this. I'm like, okay, we're going to do next month. So December rolls around, we do another full moon ceremony. I'm like, wow, like that felt just as amazing as it did the first time. January comes, I do another one. And by the end of it, I was like, because at this point I was only having women around. Like this is a only women podcast, but I was also doing only women full moon ceremonies because again, it's at my house. Like I didn't want like a bunch of like men trying to pull up to my house. Like that's just weird to me. It's just like such a old school thing. Like you can really go back to like prehistoric times, like groups of women would gather. Like that's what we did. We gathered and we talked about things. And I feel like that type of energy was very much lost in today's society. Like a lot of women are taught to compete with each other, taught to be challenged by the women around you, but not in the right way, not in the productive way. And I wanted to bring that energy back of female support. And that's what it was kind of focused on, was like pooling our feminine energy to manifest and attract the things that we want in our life and support each other and be a place where like you can talk about your weird metaphysical witchy things and like not be looked at like a crazy person. So before I did my full moon ceremony in January of 2023, it was then, I was like, this is such a healing energy that is happening. Oh, wait, it started in 2021, not 2022, because I got pregnant in 2023. And that was, oh, wow, it's been going on longer than I thought. Wow. But yeah, so I was like, oh my God, like, women don't just need healing and community, men need that as well. But I didn't want to have men in my house. I wanted to find a space, but I had no idea how I was going to do it or what I really wanted to do. I just knew I had this vision of a place that people could go every single month that felt like family to just like manifest and pool our energy and be around people that wanted to better themselves and better their lives and elevate. So I was like, it's all about wellness. So like, let's have this day of wellness. Let me have just like a wellness day. I was like, a wellness day? Like, what would that even look like? Because for the full moon ceremony, we just like sit in a circle and like we do journal prompts and that's it. Like, how can I elevate this to make it more of an event? So I come from an influencer background where I go to hundreds of influencer events, from small brands to big brands like Revolve and Fashion Nova and all these other things. So I was like, okay, one of the coolest things about influencer events is like everything's free. Like you can go like try all these things and like get gift bags and all this stuff and like you don't have to pay for anything. And then I was started to go to wellness events at that point, and I just always loved like the energy that it brought and the community that it brought. So I was like, let me kind of try to like marry the two. And that's when I was like, okay, so we'll do like these classes like breath work, sound bath, yoga, Pilates, whatever energy that full moon is calling for. And then we'll also have these like vendors around that are just getting the opportunity to share with this group what they do and what their thing is and like kind of have this promotional aspect to it. And when I tell you it popped off, like, to be completely honest, I reached out to a whole bunch of people. I was promoting it. I was like, maybe 20, 30 people will come. I don't know. Probably just the people that come to my full moon ceremonies and maybe they like bring their boyfriend or like a friend this time. I had like 150 people in my friend's house and I was shocked. Like I started out the day not knowing if making 50 gift bags, if there was going to be a whole bunch of extra gift bags, to like, wow, like I really don't even know how this many people found out about my event. Like it was absolutely insane. And I feel like whenever something happens so effortlessly and naturally in your life, it's because it's what you're meant to do and you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And that's when things come and they flow easily to you because it's really not supposed to be that hard. I know that like there's struggle and there's things that you go through, but like when you're in your purpose and when you're doing your passion, it really is not supposed to be that hard. It's not supposed to be this whole challenging thing. You will come up against challenges, so you will never be up against something that's too hard for you to handle. It will always just be a test of how you're going to figure it out. You got to be like the water going around a rock. Like if you look at a stream, you never see the water get to a rock and be like, oh, that's it. Stream's ending here. The water just goes around the rock and figures out another way. So that's what I started to be more fluid like that and be less rigid about my way of thinking. And I started these monthly wellness days. And to this day, there's still challenges that I face every single one. And to me, I just have figured out through getting through these challenges that every single time it has been worth it. I figure it out. And to be completely honest, the people that attend never even know what the challenge that I was facing was. Like the last one, we realized that we need a headphone mic because no one could hear us as we're trying to teach with the music on. That was a challenge that I did not foresee. That was a challenge that no one came up to me after and was like, oh, this wellness day was trash because I couldn't hear the teacher. Like people just figured it out. Oh, the person in front can hear, then it's going to ripple back and you're going to figure out what's happening. Like there's always going to be a challenge and something that you have to get around. There's always going to be a snafu. There's always going to be a pull, and you just have to figure out how you're going to evolve and get around it and how you're going to fix it the next time. So I'm doing monthly wellness days. This is where we're getting back into like Tori's life. I'm doing monthly wellness days. They have a full moon ceremony, and then my wellness day is always the closest weekend to the full moon because we're doing full moon ceremonies and activating on the moon's energy, off the lunar energy. So before I was doing these full moon ceremonies, back when I was still in yoga school, you're going to watch my ADHD brain just jump around. Sorry. If you have ADHD, you will understand what's happening. If you don't, grab a pen and pencil, focus, listen in, because we're going to bounce around. So before I started my full moon ceremonies, before I started my wellness days, I was still in my yoga school. I just kept getting this name like Bodhi Align in my head. Bodhi Align, and things. Bodhi was popping up. Bodhi this. Oh, Align that. Bodhi. And I look it up on Instagram, and the handle Bodhi Align is free. TikTok, it's free. The website, Bodiline.com on GoDaddy, it's available. I'm like, oh shit, like, I don't know why, but I need to hold these handles. I didn't even know what it was going to be for. At the beginning, like the Instagram page was just like a sage bundle. And like some weird freaking, probably me in a yoga pose or something as the icon. I didn't make a logo. I didn't do any of it. I just knew like this name Bodhi Align, like I need to hold everything that I can hold around it. And it wound up being the actual name of my company to this day. And even before that, this is like 2020, I got this tattoo. It's in Hebrew because I am Jewish. My mom is Jewish. And I got the tattoo "Return to You" because I feel like when you're born, you are born like in the true essence of yourself. Like you are 100% who you are. You can even like look at kids on the playground and they're just like authentically them. You don't want to swing. You want to run around. You want to paint with this paint color. You just do what you want to do when you're a kid. And kind of as you go through life, certain situations you go through, certain people you meet, certain challenges you face start to tell you that certain aspects of yourself are not good enough, aren't beneficial, aren't these things. So you start to kind of like wean into like this, what you think like a better version of yourself is, or like adulthood or whatever label you want to put on it. And I feel like being truly yourself is like going back to that child version of you where you're just like unapologetically, authentically yourself. And I wanted that constant reminder on my arm to return to you, return to who you were before the world kind of told you you weren't good enough, or you weren't this, or you weren't that, your authentic person that you started out as. And that became like the slogan for Bodhi Align, is Bodhi Align, like return to you. And I have so many big ideas and so many big dreams for it. And it's obviously taken quite a little bit of a pause because pregnancy, that's like, I could literally make an entire podcast itself on pregnancy and postpartum and all the things that people did tell me, all the things people didn't tell me, all like the things that I wish I had known, that hindsight is 2020. Like, I really thought that I was just going to like be doing everything that I was doing and pop this baby out. And then like 6 weeks, oh, you get the 6 weeks of downtime. And then like, I'm just going to get back to it. My body's going to be snapped back. Like my mind's going to be there. I'm just going to return to Tori before she was pregnant. And I really had no idea what the last trimester of pregnancy was going to be like, and how long it really takes for you to get mentally back to where you, not even to where you began, because you'll never be that person again. I will never be the person that I was before becoming a mom. However, I don't really want to be. The qualities that it has brought out of me, the person that it has made me become, the confidence that it's forced me to have in myself, the unapologetically me that it has brought back, I would never in a million years want to go back to that person that I was before I had Sola, because I truly feel like being a mom has made me become the best version of myself. And that's, I think, what we all go through as women when we do have a kid is kind of grieving the death of like that girl that you were before you had a baby, and the fact that she is never coming back. And that's okay. And becoming this new version of yourself is probably even more beautiful than it was before. And you really probably won't understand that unless you're someone that's had a kid. And it is beautiful and humbling and hard and amazing all at the same time. And no day is like the day before it. No baby at 6 months is going to be the same as a baby 6 months in a week. Like, she changes every day, and I have to learn, and I have to adapt, and I have to grow, and I have to change with her. And the way that it made me lock in on what I want to do with my life, who I want to be, what I want her to emulate, these qualities that I want in myself, because kids do what they see, not just what you tell them to do. So I want to embody the woman that I want my daughter to be in the world. And that mentality even honed in deeper on who I want to be in this world, who I am, and what I'm willing to tolerate and not tolerate in my life, and just being unapologetically myself. And that, I feel like, is probably one of the hardest things we go through, because if you have like kind of an image and someone doesn't like it, you're like, oh, that's not even really me. That's just my image. But if you are authentically, unapologetically yourself and someone doesn't like it, that can kind of hurt you in a certain way. Me personally, I'm like, you don't like me, fuck you, fuck it, don't be my friend then. Like, there's billions of people in the world. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to be my friend. You don't even have to follow me. You can literally block me. I do not have to exist in your world. So I'm not about to try to make myself digestible for every single person that comes across me just so that my ego doesn't get bruised because someone doesn't like me. Like, okay, don't like me then. Like, who really cares? Like, unless you are my man, my baby, my close family, my close friends, like if they voice an opinion about like something I did hurt them, or like something that I'm doing is like, they have some concerns, even still, I'm like, that's me. Or I'm like, let me reflect on that. Maybe I don't like that quality, but it always goes back to who I am, who I want to be, who I feel like, what I feel like is authentic in my life. And that's one of the main reasons that I actually started this podcast. Was I feel like this was before TikTok was like for real big, and no one was really talking. Everyone was just on Instagram, like posting these stoic photos of themselves. And I feel like I was so much more than that. I was so much more than just like a bikini photo on the internet for people to like. And I felt like that was one way that I really made myself like digestible to be able to grow a platform, was like, oh, I'm just going to kind of scale back on everything that is me to be able to be this person that is malleable to whatever brand wanted to book me, or whatever person wanted to like and engage with my content. Like, I wanted to be liked and likable. And I really don't give a fuck about that anymore, to be completely honest. Like, either you're going to like me and relate to me and fuck with what I'm talking about, Or are you going to be mad that I'm a mom that curses and wears my cleavage out? Like, I really don't care anymore. Like, I'm just me. And if it makes me feel good, if it makes me happy, if it makes my heart happy and it makes me feel aligned in my purpose, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to let anyone, any person, any place, or anything stand in the way of what I feel is my greatness anymore, including myself. Like, bitch, you can get out of your own way too. Because that's really the only person that's in your way is yourself. No one else can affect you if you don't let them, because you are the bouncer to the club of your life. And that was a real turning point that started for me. Like, I had no idea the way that my life was going to shift from having this entirely crazy breakdown and starting yoga school to full moon ceremonies to wellness days to doing all this healing journey and all this stuff to getting pregnant, becoming a mom. All these things have created this person that you see here today. And it's, if you go back and watch the first episode of my podcast and you watch the first episode of season 2 where I'm just talking authentically, genuinely to you, the camera, those people aren't fake versions of myself. That's just where I was on my journey at that time. And you can really only meet yourself and meet other people as deeply as they have met themselves and you've met yourself. So I will never shade or shame past Tori, because past Tori had to go through all that to be able to learn lessons and get herself into some trauma, to figure out how to release trauma, to be able to do all these things that I am doing now, and to be able to raise an amazing, beautiful daughter and be able to give myself in that way. And the generational trauma that I had to break going into that, there's just so many aspects of your life that you will go through, so many phases. I have a lot of placements in Scorpio, so there's a lot of death and rebirth happening in my life. I'm always reinventing myself. Just like this podcast, the theme of it was pink before, and now the theme is burgundy, because I found out that the sign that Jupiter is in your birth chart is how you attract money and wealth and success. So I'm not going to work against myself anymore. We're just going to lean into our Scorpio energy because, you know, Scorpios are bad bitches anyway. I have a lot of Scorpio on my chart. We can talk about astrology and horoscopes and all those things. I love to read people's charts. I love to discuss your big 3 and what that means about you. I honestly feel like once I know someone's big 3, especially if I know their big 6, like I literally know who they are. Doesn't matter if we just met. I can pretty much pigeonhole you into exactly who your like base energy is. I always say there's like nature versus nurture. There's a way that you were born. And of course, like there's certain things that will happen to you in your life that will like take you in one direction or another. But the way that you handle them is honestly still probably based on your birth chart and like what houses everything is in. But I digress. I went on a tangent. ADHD, we love it. And yeah, I just wanted to update you guys before I started having my amazing guests on the show and talking to you guys about all that stuff and getting into it. I wanted to tell you where I'm at and what I've been up to over these past, what has it been, like a year and a half or something around there. I wanted to let you know what I've been doing and get you hyped up for this season coming up. I have some amazing guests. I have some amazing topics that I'm already planning to talk about. I'm so happy to be back to doing this. This is something that I genuinely love to do. This does not feel like work for me. This genuinely feels like I'm sitting down on a FaceTime with my friends and like you guys are my friends. So I call you the spillers because every week we spill the tea. I used to release a new episode every Wednesday, but now we will be doing it on Thursday because it's the day of Jupiter and we're giving all our energy to Jupiter. My dog's name is Jupiter. And we're just going to, lean into all the things and all the knowledge that I have learned that I'm going to learn. We're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about podcasts. We're going to talk about motivational people. We're going to talk about really everything under the sun because women are multifaceted and we're freaking amazing and we deserve to be celebrated. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. The light in me recognizes the light in you. And like, comment, and subscribe, and send this to someone that you feel like might be inspired by this episode. And I will see you guys next Thursday.